We are now a year into the busing of migrants from the Mexican border right here to New York.
Yeah, almost 100,000 have arrived in the city, with about 56,000 still here, and the city desperately trying to house them. The mayor says we're out of space. That's evidenced by the line of migrants you see right there, wrapped around the Roosevelt Hotel Arrival Center in Midtown for several days earlier this week.
So what do we do now, right? That's the big question. Deputy Mayor Ann Williams-Isom is the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. She joins us now to discuss this and more. Deputy Mayor, good to see you. Thanks for coming back.
Good morning. Good to see you.
So, Deputy Mayor, let's begin with this, right? Because there's a lot of conversation about the lines we're seeing outside the Roosevelt Hotel and where exactly the migrants are going to go. We know there's some smaller facilities that are set up in Brooklyn Park. The big question is this rumor of Central Park and tents being put in Central Park. Let's begin there. Is that going to happen?
So I would like to step back a little bit and say that we knew that this day was going to come. We've been talking about this, as you said, for over a year. And when you're looking at 95,000, almost 100,000 migrants that have come to New York City, I want New Yorkers to feel proud of the way that we have cared for. We have made sure that people have a place to live and shelter, to have food. We've had, 18,000 children in school, but we know that this is not sustainable. And so we have to ask for help from the federal government and from the state so that we can make sure that we're not just talking about where we're gonna put the next group of 80 people or 100 people. It is not sustainable to do that. And that's why we're in this situation now where we're looking at all these different options. Nobody wants to be in this situation, and I don't think we need to be in this situation.
Yeah, as the mayor was saying yesterday, the only way the city has to go is down right now. So what exactly are you asking of Washington?
Well, many different things. I think some national coordination of this. This is a national issue, and for some reason, a city has been asked to bear the brunt of a national, and I might say a global crisis. And so people came here to work. People came here for access to the American dream. So for we really would love the ability for work authorization. That's the number one thing. I think we would like to really see the federal government take more of a leadership role here so that people are not just coming to New York City. There's a lot of places in the United States that need people to work right now, and so that's one of the main things. We also would love a federal declaration that this is an emergency. Every New Yorker can see this is an emergency. When you see people sleeping on the sidewalk, when you hear 100,000 people come into New York City with really no end in sight, I think this is a federal emergency.
So if they do declare those things, right, and everything you just kind of laid out there, what does that do for New York City, right? Because the buses would still be arriving.
So I said a lot of different things. So the national coordination, a decompression strategy would help, but I think the unlocking of federal funds and more sites even, right? So Floyd Bennett Field is a large site. There are large federal sites here in New York City that we could be using as opposed to some of the other sites that you were talking about when we started talking about this topic.
Right, which is bringing me back to that issue, right? So until that is declared, there are options that the city has to look at. And Central Park is one of those things that has been reported, it's been discussed, and I don't mean to hit you again with it, but is it an option that could become a reality?
So I think everything's on the table right now. Since we've been looking at sites, I think we've looked at over 3,000 sites. Some of them are appropriate, some of them are not appropriate. We're coming back to looking at them because never in our wildest dreams would we think that we would be here a year later with 100,000 people and no end in sight.
So has the Biden administration had conversations with you? I mean, are they receptive to what New York is asking for? I mean, what conversations have been going on between the city and Washington?
So everyone knows that we have had great conversations with our federal delegation that is in conversations with the White House. We've spoken to the White House. I think this is a solvable problem. I think that people are making decisions about what they want to do and not do, and all we can do as the Adams administration is advocate strongly for New York City and for New Yorkers. We feel like we are doing our part. It is obvious that we're doing our part. Our actions speak way louder than our words, but there is no way that the city, given the resources, given the staff, given the appropriate spaces, can we continue to do this.
So I'm listening to you very carefully, right? And there is that the whole right to shelter law that was discussed, and whether or not people are given that right to have a bed in New York City. Is there, we've heard about the breaking point. We see it on the streets. We had our curtain call outside the Roosevelt Hotel. And I'm listening to you very carefully. Is there a point where you say, that's it, the doors are closed, we can't do it?
I think that we are approaching that point, and we're probably going to have, go to court and ask to see and to get some clarity. I think when the right to shelter laws were put into place 40 years ago, no one could have anticipated that 95. I think New Yorkers understand that.
Yes.
And we're just trying to figure out how to do the best that we can to show up. I said, I think we all should be proud about what we've done, but I think it's unfair to then ask us to do more and then to accuse us of not caring for people and not really, confronting this humanitarian national crisis in the best way that we can.
So there is an option where you go to court and say, we just have to pause on accepting migrants into New York City.
I think there's again, I don't mean to say this, but I think all options have to be on the table because we have to be responsible stewards as we're here and we're governing and making sure that we have the services that the new migrants coming to this country and also services for New Yorkers here.
But in the meantime, the reality is what we're seeing on the streets. We're seeing families, children sleeping on the street. What is the city doing to make sure that they're safe?
So no families and children are sleeping on the street, and it has been one of the things that my colleagues and I, every day, we run out of space and we try to scramble to figure out how we're going to make sure that families and children do not sleep on the street. And so that's a little bit of what the 60-day policy change that we did. It is about us reaching out to faith-based organizations. It's about us using hotel vouchers. That's the reason that we said that we needed to go upstate and possibly use some of the hotels upstate. People say that we don't have a plan, and I almost want to laugh. We have plan A, plan B, plan C, because we felt like by now the state would help us a little bit more in terms of the resettlement, and the federal government would be helping us more. New York City is doing an extraordinary effort. We need support and we need help.
Is it that some families just aren't accepting the space they're given? Because I got to tell you, I was in the city, it was midnight, and there was a family sleeping on the street on 8th Avenue.
Oh, so that definitely should not be happening. All families that come and are coming to the Roosevelt should be able to get a placement, sleep in the Roosevelt at least for 24 hours until they go to their placement.
All right, Ann Williams-Isom, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. Thanks again for being with us on this very important issue.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.